Dubstep is a genre of electronic dance music, commonly instrumental, that can be identified by having syncopated rhythms with a very prominent bass. It was originally a combination of the two-step, grime, and garage genres.
Dubstep originated in South London in the late 1990s, and the earliest releases of the genre were in 1999 to 2002 by EIB, Steve Gurley, Oris J, and Zed Bias. But even those releases were more of a darker sound, and it was not the distinguished dubstep genre we have today. In addition, none of these releases took off and made any large impact commercially. In fact, the only real public exposure of the beginnings of dubstep were in a London nightclub, Plastic People. Still, no record labels had been signed for dubstep artists, and music was not being exposed to the public on a large scale. That all changed in 2002.
In 2002, label companies Big Apple, Tempa, and Ammunition started producing records that were officially labeled dubstep, right as the genre was starting to separate itself from two-step, grime, and garage.
Dubstep had made major progress, as it now had label companies acknowledging it as a genre and producing music. It was not until 2003, however, that it was played on the radio by a DJ for BBC Radio named John Peel. This was a huge step for the genre, as the radio was a much more convenient way to listen to music than records. Now dubstep was being played routinely on the radio.
Dubstep's surge to fame continued in 2005, when magazines such as The Wire and Pitchfork began to cover the genre extensively. Pitchfork even had a monthly feature called This Month in Grime and Dubstep.
Arguably, the latest steps in dubstep's evolution were the rises to fame of two popular artists. First, Excision, a Canadian dubstep artist who started making popular songs as early as 2007.
Second, Scream, an English dubstep artist who started releasing music around the same time.
Excision and Scream are commonly considered pioneers of dubstep, as they were the first dubstep artists to reach large scales of people with their music. The artists, although both were able to become popular, have two different styles. Excision's music includes large flashing lights and huge bass drops.
I grew up listening mostly to metal and hip-hop, which was kind of a strange combination. Metal always had a special place for me, just hearing like the heavy riffs of the guitars mainly. And hip-hop, I was always down with like the tempo and the flow of the beats. So when dubstep came along, it was kind of the culmination of those like heavy riffs that I liked in metal and the slower paced, laid back beats of hip hop, and it just kind of combined into one thing that I just fell in love with.
Scream approaches dubstep with a more melodic style.
It just wasn't exciting me anymore, and it just got to the point where it was all about drops.
The dubstep we have today is not what Scream originally intended his music to be used for. Scream is unique because he managed to be an extremely popular artist despite being different from the genre norm.
It wasn't actually what I said, it was the original foundation feeling that we had when we was making the music. It wasn't for big rooms, it wasn't for festivals, it was for small dingy clubs with big massive sound systems.
Bass Nectar, an American dubstep artist, has a more conventional style of dubstep. He has been releasing music since Excision and Scream, but it never really became popular until the later 2000s. He, like Excision, has the common tendency to have multiple loud, aggressive bass drops in all of his songs.
Bassnectar describes dubstep as a slower version of hip-hop mixed with reggae and heavy metal.
So a dubstep or grime is kind of like this ultra slow, ultra dirty spawn of hip hop, but it's almost at a breakbeat speed, but it's at a halftime breakbeat speed. So it feels like abnormally slow and it just gives this really heavy feel.
Although Excision and Scream were becoming popular in Europe and Canada, the United States had yet to adopt the genre. Around 2010, a heavy metal-loving American DJ known as Skrillex was rising to fame in the United States. His style is more similar to Excision than Scream, as he uses large bass drops as a central piece of his music.
One of the reasons that Skrillex became so popular was that he recognized the importance of pleasing a crowd. In his mind, recordings do not do the genre justice.
Really is about the whole thing. The crowd is the show, and I don't think you can capture that on TV in certain situations.
Skrillex, a Grammy-winning artist, was and still is the most popular dubstep artist in the world. By now, his music is all over the world.
Excision, Scream, Bassnectar, and Skrillex were all able to affect people on a musical level, even if they did not all share common beliefs about dubstep. This goes to show how important the crowd is in the genre. If the music pleases the crowd, it is good music.
We created a movement. We created a genre, and I was part of the backbone of creating it. So I can't be mad at that because I'm proud of that. I'm still proud to this day of what we've done. You know?